for reaching another video. Thank you also if you watched the last video, which we went over configuring and securing IIS. I'm a bit under the weather, so sorry about the hoodie again. And in this video, we're actually going to be going over upgrading and securing the secure shell connection. We're going to get started actually in Kali Linux. We're running a few commands from the terminal. Let's go ahead and get started with the first exercise. What we're going to be doing is upgrading the secure shell, and secure shell, just like all protocols, need to be updated, right? So as well as the services which manage store protocols. So moving to a more up-to-date version of the service helps overcome vulnerability, just like with anything else as far as any applications or anything. And it helps to overcome vulnerabilities to older types in the system, making sure that no data is being leaked out, at least unnecessarily from the connection. So right now, it's installing the upgraded version of Secure Shell of the server, but to still use the configure files, which we already have implemented into the system. So I've updated, I placed in a command terminal here for it to update. And now I need to wait here. There it is. Perfect. Now I'm going to install a few things. Server I mentioned. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to allow a few more minutes to pass for the install to complete. Now, what's happening now is Kali is calling the repository, looking for all the files, and then it's going to complete the actual download itself, and I'll place the video on the other side of the download being completed. All right, so the install process, excuse me, has completed. So now we're going to check the status of the service with the new command here. I'm actually going to use this command quite a bit. So we can see that it's active and running, right? It's enabled the vendor preset process as well. And I'm actually going to return to the terminal with the Q option. And I want to make sure it restarts now that it's been installed. Typically, like like how we would see in a Windows update, it would need to restall, but it won't show an output, right, as far as a restart. Unless and again, unless we use the command to view the status of the SSH secure shell service, right? So now we're just going to add a pseudo user. Kali has inherently has the main OS user as root, which can't be dangerous in the wrong hands, but adding a non-root user in Kali is sometimes trivial, and this is essential to maintaining good security measures within a system. So I'm going to add a new newer, right? So I'm actually going to open up a new terminal here because, all right. All right, perfect. So just going to confirm the users who are kept within the system. Just got to pretty much just scroll through here and take a look. And another method we can use as far as, taking a look, we can do concatenate and then give it a file path. All right, we take a look that way as well. And we have there's other commands as well, but I'm not going to get too much into those. But I'm going to add a new user and place them in the sudo command list, then place them in a bash shell with a few commands here really quickly. Put some new bin, then we're going to put them in bash. Don't, buddy. All right, we want a password for this guy. Who do you want a password for? Agent Orange, right? What's your password going to be? This is my password. I think I went too fast. There it is. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. I love it. All right, so now I'm going to change that to that user account to issue commands. So make sure everything is working the way I set it up. All right, perfect. So now I'm just going to change back user, same concept, but with root control. So I'll maybe ask for the password. There it is. No, that's fine. All right, perfect. So I'm actually going to close this out. All right, so we now tested the new user called Agent Orange, where we now must remove root from the secure shell connection possibilities and test it. So right now at the moment, Kali permits the root login via secure shell. So we got to make some changes. So I'm actually going to open up a leaf pad here. Probably should have kept that terminal open for to take a look at it this way versus going through the normal files like documents and all of that jazz. Perfect. There we go. And permit root login. You're going to change this to no. And we're going to test this out too after I change it. So I'm actually going to hit save here. I'm going to test this out. And how, actually, before I test it out, again, restart once we made some changes. And then we want to take a look at the status, right? Naturally active running, everything still good. Server listening for port 22. We're actually going to add some port 22 a bit later. Now to test it, I'm actually going to swivel over to Win 10. We're going to take a look through PuTTY here. And as you can see, the secure shell is the default. Right, perfect. So we're going to initially try to log in as root. And I'm looking for, tell me access denied. Perfect. Yep, that's fine. So just going to close this out. If it closes out, go and open it back up. Now I'm just going to confirm with our new user that we created Agent Orange, everything is working the way we like. There we go. We're logged in. So now we're using the user we assigned to the pseudo group. It can escalate to root if we need to. So now what we're going to do is regenerate the secure shell keys to avoid man-in-the-middle attacks or on-path attacks. I'm not sure what it's called nowadays, but but default secure shell keys are vulnerable from the fact that they're possible to guess, right? So changing the keys is an immediate secure enhancement to the connection. So we're going to actually produce new keys. So let's do, okay, let's see, not sure what happened there. But let's get back on track. All right. Get in there. All right, perfect. So now we're in the root, particularly under Agent Orange. So I'm just going to move the default keys to another folder with a few different commands here. I want you to move, change directory, and I want you to move this. All right, and then, hey, where do you want us to move it to? We're in here now, so make directory. Take a look at for the Kali Linux keys. All right. Like, hey, okay, so if we're making this, what do you want to do next? We want to move it, MV, and the secure shell host, right? And then go. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to regenerate the secure shell keys to keep them secure. So I'm going to do our D package. We're going to reconfigure some things. And we're going to do some open secure shell server. Now the package manager is going to open. I'm actually going to keep it at the default settings. So we're going to keep the local version currently installed. So now it's returned to the terminal. And now it's generating keys for the RSA, the ECDSA, and another one. Now I'm just going to verify the key hashes are different with the hash here, D5 sum, secure shell host. All right, perfect. So this will hash the keys already in the file and then print them to console, right? So now I have to add the old default keys that we moved and visually compare them to make sure that they are different. So I'm just going to change directly to the default Kali keys, if I can spell. right? Right, so let's do hash here. There we go. Pretty good. All right, that looks pretty good. Now after checking the keys, I'm just going to restart it naturally, right? And we're gonna take a look at the status. Well, first I gotta spell, right? I'll get to look at the status. Perfect. And now I'm just gonna keep going pretty much in perpetuity until I tell it to stop with the control C here. So I can exit from the secure shell connection. Now, for our last, well, one of our last tasks is the message of the day. So it's a legal requirement, right, for all networks to present on a connection with the EU, and it's a good practice when considering computing ethics. So the message should actually be clear and robust in its nature to avoid confusion on terms and meaning as much as possible. So I'm actually going to edit what we have to include some additional text. So actually open up a new terminal. And then let's open up a new leaf pad here. Hey, how you doing, buddy? All right, perfect. So now we're going to enter in, or we're adding a message rather. I think that's how you spell it. All right, not going to make it too long. I'm going to save it here. Close it out. Now I'm just going to restart it. And I'm going to make some changes. So let's swivel back over to Win 10 and exit out of here. Get back in. Okay, perfect. Yes. There we go. All right, perfect. So now that we've gotten that, now that we see that we can view the changes that's been made, right? This device is being monitored by Dwight Schrute, system manager of Dunder Mifflin. I'm actually going to close this out and we verified that change. So now we can actually move on to our final exercise. We're going to be changing the secure shell port. So changing the port, what it does is it helps to evade obvious detection by sniffing tools and port scanners by placing the connection on a port value not normally recognized for secure shell connections. And this form of obfuscation acts only to initially bypass common port scans. So what we're going to do first is edit the we're going to edit the secure shell port value. So we actually reopen the terminal and there we go. Let's type. Go. Open this up. Okay. Let's see. It's the destination file. Okay. That is correct. I did not complete it. We want it in our backup. Going too fast. All right, perfect. So now I'm just going to edit the configuration file through LeapPad again. All right, so I'm going to change port 22 we saw earlier to 10.10.1. Hit save. And out. Open back up for us. And of course, we want to restart it. Any changes we make, if you notice the trend, we're restarting secure shell. Make sure those implementations are in place. So this makes me swivel back, of course, naturally over to Putty. well, to Win10 to get into PuTTY. And then naturally the IP, where instead of the port 22, I'm going to change it to where we just came from. So let's click open here. Okay. So I got to configure. It was an issue for some reason. I had to go back a few steps to make sure that it was changed over to port 10.10.1. I was going a bit too fast, and I had to go back and double check when I take a look at the secure shell status. So now should open up. Perfect. Page of orange. Perfect. Love it. Now we have configured a new login port and are no longer using the default port of 22 for the secure shell connection. And this also brings us to the end of the video, which just for a brief recap, we covered a few things. We upgraded Open Secure Shell, we added the sudo user, we regenerated secure shell keys to avoid man in the middle attacks, and we also changed the secure shell port. On the next video, we're actually going to go over manual SQL injection and password cracking. That should be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. Stay curious, stay secure.